Hey, welcome to the best of everything. I am Ruben Paul, and across from me is my annoying brother from a Portuguese mother.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mr. Johnny Annoying Sanchez.
Ah, Mr. Johnny Dirty Sanchez. How is everybody?
Dirty Sanchez? You like that name, huh?
It is funny. You know, that's what Tony Rock, that's, you know.
Yeah, he calls you Dirty
said,
Sanchez.
No, all he does is, dirty! As soon as I walk into the comedy club.
Last night was great, man. You're funny last night.
Yeah, dude, that was fun.
Yeah.
And you know what's so funny? It's one of those weird things where the crowd was great, by the way. But, you know, when you're trying to choose what to do, you're deciding, you know, whatever. And then it's like everything was going good.
Until you got into the argument with the Indian guy?
The Indian guy just like took it. You know, I love that. And you know what's so funny? I always think about people in the audience. You know,
You instigated the whole thing, which is hilarious.
No. He said from the audience, I heard someone go, I can relate to this.
And yeah.
I can relate to that. But you know when somebody says that loud,
Yeah.
they want to be engaged.
Oh, yeah.
Because it
you
was quiet.
definitely engaged
I was
with them.
getting ready to go into something else, and then I heard, I can relate to that. And then I was like, oh, I thought it was another dude who gets mistaken for being Indian.
But you know what's funny?
What?
You didn't notice. So the Indian guy who told you his name and everything.
Yeah, but remember he goes, not even kidding. That was literally his name.
But the guy you're arguing with wasn't the guy that you were originally talking to. It was his friend that was next to him.
Correct. I thought it was.
You thought it was the Indian guy.
No.
You know what I'm talking about? So the guy who said, I can relate to that, and you're like, you're Indian, he was talking to you, but at some point, his friend took over the conversation,
Correct.
And then you started getting into it with his friend, thinking that it was still the Indian guy.
No. I thought it was the guy two over.
Yeah. So,
But it wasn't. It was a guy right next to him.
yeah.
Rod.
Who was not Indian. Yeah.
Well, he was something though.
He was Middle Eastern.
He was Middle Eastern.
Yeah.
But I thought, okay, so you remember there was the Indian. Okay, so the Indian guy.
Yeah.
Remember? Then it was the guy.
Why do you have to do that when you?
Well, that's how he said it.
How did he say it?
He goes, I go, what's your name? Remember? He goes, it's like that.
He did not.
Nobody understood what he said.
I can't remember his name, but we all understood it except you.
No, nobody knew because there was the girls in the front went like this. Like what?
You just started
because he said it really quick. You know when Latinos do that too sometimes when they have a very a very Spanish name and they pronounce it that way. People are always like, what? You know when they go like that, and then they go, right? Thank you, carreceta. You know what I mean?
What name is that?
I don't know because that's what it sounds like.
He just makes up a name. Why don't you use a real name?
Okay. Esmeralda. Esmeralda? Esmeralda. They do that sometimes. Sometimes they say it in a... Anyway,
but should they be allowed to pronounce their names the way that, you know?
Hey, listen, Johnny's originally Yanni. Back in the old days in the Middle East.
Well, that's what I usually call you is Yanni.
You call me Yanni.
Yeah.
So, but I thought there was the Indian dude, his short Middle Eastern buddy, Rod, who was yelling crap out. And then there was this
the taller
white
guy.
dude. And I thought it was him originally that went, he's Indian.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You remember? Right. No. So I was so that's who I thought I was having a conversation with, just for the record. All right.
Well, it kind of flopped around a little bit, but anyway.
Here's the bottom line.
It was a good night. You did a good job.
It was fun, and I feel like it went in a different. It always goes in a different place and a different level when we start engaging.
Now, let me ask you this: did you have any idea what you wanted to talk about before you got on stage, or you just were kind of winging it?
I kind of had a little bit of an idea because you know what, I was looking at them and going, I don't think this is an audience that had seen me before.
Yeah, that's what,
I felt like they were. It was a.
I mean, we did have some regulars there, but there are a lot of new people.
A
there
lot of
also.
new people.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh well, maybe I can get in. And I knew I was gonna I was gonna tap into the newer Portuguese material, and my 2% Congolese. Whisper out to the Republic of Congo, by the way. Whisper out to my peeps. My Bantu people.
Whatever, man.
Are we? So how do I do this now? So I know that I'm on. Because last time I didn't even see anybody's comments. Did you send it to me?
Yeah, I sent it to you, and we have Evelyn Brito. Absolutely, we have an American names. I don't know what she's talking for your.
She said we have American names. Evelyn is but she probably says it. Maybe she says it that way too. You know what I mean? And maybe she doesn't go Evelyn. What if she does? What if she? Do you say it that way? Do you go Evelyn?
I don't even know how to get to this thing.
Maybe she does. Maybe we have American names. Getting all bent out of shape. All
Should
right.
I just go to my page, Chris?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even see. I don't have anything. All right, but thanks, Evelyn, Champagne King.
Yeah. So let me see. But yeah, you were great. London Brown.
Yeah, I left before he.
Yeah, he closed. Joey Wells was great.
Yeah,
Taylor
yeah.
Tomlinson was really funny last night.
She always has good stuff.
Yeah, she's great, man.
Oh, here we go.
She's great, man.
All right, so how do? Oh, there's. Oh, that's funny. She put it's Brito.
Yeah, you can't. You got to pronounce that correctly. Evelyn Brito. Have I ever met Evelyn?
I don't know.
think
have
we've met.
you?
I know we're friends on Facebook, but I don't think we've ever met. Hey, Evelyn. So yeah, it was Taylor Tomlinson, Jordan Rock did a guest spot. You, Joey Wells, and London.
Oh, that's right. That's right. You bumped my spot.
No, I didn't bump your spot.
No. I love the way you run the room. It's
I do.
great
I
to
do
have
run
a set spot, and then it changes at the last second.
Well,
But
actually,
here's what it was a lot of fun.
Actually,
It's
you
always
went
a
on
great
exactly when you were supposed to go on.
run. I checked the time. I don't think so.
Yeah, I think I told you your time. But.
Yeah, you did, and
Yeah.
I didn't go on at that time. But it's a
yeah,
great.
you did. But go ahead.
I
Yeah,
don't think so.
yeah.
It's a great room. We love the way you run it. It's like everybody's at a starting. Everybody's like, who's going next? Nobody knows.
Yeah.
So that's always comforting as a comic. But you got to come down to Rubee Tuesdays.
Oh, thanks. Is that the endorsement that you're giving it?
It's a fantastic. It's always a great show.
Now you know why Johnny's not on it a lot. Because all Johnny does is complain. Johnny's the only person.
I didn't say anything last night. I was just like, I'll go on whenever you. And you're like, I'll tell you when you're going on.
Johnny is the one who
Everybody
always
else, he tells them, you're going to be here, you're going to be there. And I'm like, how about me?
Did you look at the list that was on the wall, the lineup that was put up there? Like everybody else does? Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll check it next time because
Yeah.
I think it was out of order last
Maybe
night.
you should check it.
Yeah,
But you know what's interesting about that? They have been like I'll send in the lineup and then it'll be like totally different. Then I go, what happened?
Yeah, with your show, specifically with your show is the one where I actually do not look at the list.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I figure that sometimes you might vibe it out. Like, let me go ahead and because remember you were at first you were like, I think I'll just have Joey close it out, and then I think you. And
well,
because
I know you wanted to go on early. See,
I like going on earlier.
Yeah.
Just,
So I mean, obviously it's a set lineup, but sometimes people are running late from other spots. So I book a lineup pretty much where more than one person doesn't have to close. You know what I mean? Like some shows you go, man, this guy has to go last.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I book a show where
Thanks, Rube.
what?
I know what you mean by that.
Yeah, I
know you wanted me to.
Yeah, just to get you on and off as quick as possible.
I thought you meant you just said this person has to close. I know that's in your mind when I'm on the list.
Yeah, but when you're on the list, I go, he doesn't have to close. I have other people who can, who can bring it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Wait a minute. Oh, to share it. Now we got to figure out how to share it.
I was telling Renee over here, it feels like I'm teaching my uncles how to use Facebook.
Really,
Renee
Tonto?
back there?
Why'd I call him Tonto? What up,
Oh,
Sam?
wait a minute. Monet said
You guys should do a duo.
do Halloween.
Hell no.
Yeah.
I barely like this guy.
As who? As what? As
Ren and Stimpy.
Oh God. How about Training Day? How about who? Who could we go as? That's
I don't know.
That's a good idea.
I don't dress up for
we should-
Hollywood. For Halloween.
For Hollywood?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't
I
dress up
know
for
you don't dress
Hollywood.
up for Hollywood. I saw what you were wearing last night at the show.
Should we flashback?
Shorts and flip-flops. Anyway, thanks for dressing up for your own
Do you
show.
really think I would be caught with flip-flops on stage?
You don't ever wear flip-flops?
No, man.
You don't ever wear flip-flops?
No, I might wear slides, but not flip-flops.
What are slides?
Damn, dude.
Like, are those
Are you sure you're 2% Congo? You might be 0.5% Congo. You don't know shit about the culture, man.
I know.
Slides. Slides are
the one where it's just one flap over.
yeah, it's just one flap.
Oh,
You just slide it.
sandals. Yeah,
I wouldn't
Sandals.
call those sandals. Call them slides.
but they're technically sandals.
They're just chanclas.
Oh yeah, or they're chanclas. For the Latinos out there, they're chanclas.
Yeah, I mean you're Portuguese, so you wouldn't know to.
Are you
call
talking
them
about the? Yeah, I don't think Jesus called his shoes
that.
slides.
Okay, whatever, man. Because he didn't wear
he was like-
slides.
yeah, he wore
He didn't wear-
sandals.
he wore sandals.
They all were
that
wearing
wrapped
sandals.
around. They probably went up to his ankle, or to his knee.
No, that's not.
How do you know what Jesus wore back then? How do you know?
How do I know?
Yeah.
I watched.
What verse in the Bible goes, Jesus wore sandals?
He walked in with bronze feet. Remember that?
Well, what does that have to do?
Bronze colored feet. Because you couldn't see anything but
It
their
didn't- it
feet
didn't
back
s-
then because of the long robes that they would wear, and then they would wear sandals. And I bet there's somewhere that says sandals in there.
Yeah, but the
I'm gonna
photos,
find it.
the photos
Somebody
you saw,
find that for me.
the photos also had Jesus as a white dude. So
Yeah. Now that was because the
white man. That's what
the Europeans.
We can simplify that.
England, Italy, all those European countries, especially someone like Leonardo da Vinci, they started painting everybody in the Middle East of how they looked. So hence the long. By the way, Jewish men back then, their hair wasn't even supposed to touch their shoulders, so he wouldn't even have had that extra long hair. All right.
Anyway, that whole thing is annoying.
Anyway, to be honest, he was only about 5'5", because the average height back then was between 5'3" and 5'6". Oh my god! So guess what, guys? Guess who? When I had my hair long, I was basically Jesus.
You're an idiot.
I'm being serious.
No, I know
I
you're-
looked more like him
no.
than anybody who's portrayed him in a film.
Yeah, anybody who's not white would look more like Jesus did than what was portrayed. But anyway, how do we get off onto this, man?
I don't know, dude. I was trying to plug your show and how good it is, and then you
Nah, I
start
don't
talking
think that's
about
what you're doing.
slides and the electric slide.
No, you said I was on
and,
stage with flip flops. That's what started. But anyway,
Yeah.
it was a great show last
and Ruben
night.
doesn't wear flip flops. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I don't wear flip flops.
Oh, she wants to know if we're having Kristen, did Jesus wear chocolate? Oh, Evelyn wants to know, are you having guest speakers? Wait, on today's I think she means today's episode.
Are we having any guests? No, not on today's
Not
episode.
today.
Yeah, but we do have guests on, Evelyn. We do.
We're going to be having some
More.
soon. Yes.
Yeah.
While we go live,
Absolutely.
which will be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Anyway, Ruben's, if you notice, he's got a little bit of, he's
No one's
slurring a little
noticed.
bit.
no one's
He went
noticed.
to the dentist today and got numbed on one side or whatever. So,
All right.
tell him about it. You said you wanted to talk about it.
Yeah, but that wasn't the ideal lead-in for that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. A little negative-y today.
Okay.
A little bit. Well, I mean, you always are. But anyway, no, it was just making me think. I did go to the dentist today, which was great. But it just made me think, like, there's so many comics. Of course, it's a problem in America in general with healthcare, but just as comics, man, like, you know, we talked about how much how much it is to get insurance,
right,
and dental, and like, you know, even if you're in SAG-AFTRA, you know, if you earn enough
Screen
money,
Actors Guild for everybody.
Screen Actors Guild, and AFTRA, that
American Federation of Television Radio Artists.
Something like that.
What is that last one?
It might be art. But like, even if you make enough money, they offer, you know, healthcare, you know, and benefits and everything. But it's just, there's just so many comics that I know that don't have any type of insurance at all, and that's rough, man.
It's rough, and you know, you just wish. I remember I know you and I talked about this literally probably 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, the comics were going, we need to start a union.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because not only for health insurance purposes, but also because, you know, a lot of clubs just started, you know, lowballing comics.
Yeah.
And then you got the other ones, the other comics, and there's certain comics out there who are willing to just go, yeah, okay, I'll take it. I'll take that low pay. And then what happens is the comics who are really good, who deserve to be paid this, now are not working.
Yeah.
Or they're going, well, now I got to go because of these scabs over here that are willing to go in for their lowballing. And it's happening. It still happens now.
Oh, yeah.
I just had this conversation last night.
Well, I just think a lot of times if I mean, for comedians to have a union, it would take big comedians to make that happen, like popular comedians.
Totally.
You know, whether it be
Kevin Hart and
would have to, you know,
Bill
to
Burr
really
and all these guys.
challenge the clubs to treat comedians better. You know, and I think a lot of times the hard part is that it's not really a hard part. It would just take a collective effort for people to set a criteria or what it would take to be in the union, because everybody who calls themselves a comedian isn't necessarily a comedian.
Yeah.
You know, but there should be like scale for comedy clubs. For there should be scale for the opener, the feature, and then the headliner. There should be a scale, but based on your credits or whatever, that could be negotiated to a higher rate. But I think something has to be done eventually. But how long have people been talking about this? You know, I mean, look at we talked about this, and I'll let you make your point. With Tom Dreesen, who was instrumental in comedians getting paid.
Yeah, right.
You know, when they
back in this was
in the 70s.
Yeah,
where they did it,
the strike.
They did the strike.
Yeah,
and they got a little bit more money. But here's the irony of it is, they got more money before a lot of the clubs. What they negotiated back in the 70s, clubs are still paying in 2019.
Right.
Like, in all, like, there's laws set for minimum wage. Like, minimum wage goes up.
That's a good point.
Like, the minimum wage if you went and got a job at McDonald's, the minimum wage is higher than it was in 1980. Because you take in cost of living and everything else. But for some reason, it's okay to do that in comedy.
Correct.
Where you're doing spots at these clubs and the money never goes up.
It never changed.
It never really changes, you know?
And a lot of that too is, I mean, mainly, especially with the ones in, you know, on the big ones in Hollywood, because it's kind of like, hey, look, everybody wants to be in here.
Yeah.
Is the mentality. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, the sad part is, me and you both know this, it's hard to make a living doing stand-up comedy in L.A. because you got to go on the road.
You got to go on the road.
And that's why a lot of comics, they come to L.A., you know, I'm moving to L.A., man, I want to be in the scene, and they get here and go, I can't pay my rent.
Right.
So they basically use their apartment as storage as they go out on the road to make money to pay for their apartment that they're never in.
Yeah.
You know,
what is it? Comics used to say, in order to in order to live in LA, I have to be out of LA.
Yeah.
So
There's
you're
something
coming-
wrong with that, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. But I wonder how it is with. I don't know this, so maybe there's somebody out there that knows about like. Do they don't get paid like the improv places, the UCB and Groundlings and all those. They don't get paid for their live shows, do they, or they do, or is it a door thing?
I'm not sure.
Because sometimes they charge. You know what I mean? Like it's $15-$20 to go see.
Well, I think a lot of times with those,
I've never asked any of them.
with those, somebody calls you and go, "Hey, John, do you want to do this gig?" And then you show up, and then they give you $50 or something for showing up. So, maybe they have some type of door deal and they pay the comics themselves. But I will say this: I mean, I know with Jamie at the Laugh Factory locally, he's raised the price over the years.
He's great.
He's great about
been great
that.
about that.
So, and then I know at the store, they in the main room, they they could make good money on the weekend.
Yeah.
Or do they do it just on the weekends or during the week?
You know what? Good question. I know before it was just the weekend. It was the Friday and Saturday night shows in the main room. All the comics got a piece of it. They got to share
the door, right?
Split the door, and I mean, you gotta give Mitzi credit for that, man. That's because when that room's packed, these comics are making some pretty good money, and there's a bunch of them. So that's like pretty amazing for her to have done that long ago, and they kept it going. So now I don't know how it goes on weeknights, but I think most of the weeknight shows are
promoter shows, a lot of them.
Self-produced, you know what I mean? Matter of fact, I swung by there last night.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. And I went by because Ryan was, my buddy Ryan Dalton, Whisper Out Ryan Dalton, was doing a show on our boy Sam Tripoli's show.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I got to talk to Tripoli for a little while last night. We had a good talk. It was good
every
seeing
time
him.
I see Sam, he goes, he wants to have us on the show. He wants to come do the show. Shout out
we
Sam
had the
Tripoli.
Same conversation.
Yeah.
He's
I
like,
got to get you on. Just bug me, man.
He goes, why don't you gonna come on my sports? I go, I did it before. I'd love to.
Yeah.
He's like, well, but I didn't. He does say that. He's like, you got to stay on me, man. I forget.
I'm the
like,
same.
okay,
I get it. When you're
and
booking
he wants
stuff,
to do ours, by the way. So
yeah, I'd love to have Sam on. But yeah, when you're booking stuff, like Sam does his show, but he only does a once a month show. So he does a show, and then he has 2 podcasts that he does.
Yes.
So that can get a lot of it can get overwhelming. And I tell some people the same thing, like, hey man, you just got to stay on me. Especially how I book the show also is different. I'm just not just throwing the show together just to
Sure.
But I just feel bad for some of the comics that I know packed up from where they came from, thinking that they're going to come to LA and they can actually make a living doing stand-up comedy here. And the hope is that the benefit is you can come here, get popular enough to go on the road and make a decent amount of money on the road. Yeah. So you could probably pick and choose how much time you actually need to be away from LA. Yeah. Because we both went through periods in our career where we were gone all the time.
Oh my God, dude. That we were doing 3 weeks a month.
Yeah.
I mean,
which is a blessing to be able to work that much, but at the same time,
it was brutal.
It takes you away from auditions and different things that you want to do.
And I remember Argus Hamilton, man, Whisper Out Argus, still at the Comedy Store. He'd been around since back then in the 70s. And I remember him saying, try to stay in town as much as you can because you're only young and hot once. And by hot, I mean having the heat because, Hollywood loves youth. So it's like, I remember and I'd be like, yeah. But eventually you realize, oh man, I can make great money flying out. But when you're younger, man, that's when they're asking you to come, that's when they want you when you're younger, way more, of course. And then, it's like, but you're going out and it's really tough, man.
Yeah. But I think it was probably more true when back then,
right?
Because you start seeing things change now. Yeah. Like we talked before, I mean, there's so many great comics of all different ages.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you look at the comics who are dominating, most of them are 40 plus. You know,
It's true, man.
Late, you know, mid to late 30s into your 40s, because like a friend of mine said a long time ago, if you really think about it, stand-up comedy is an adult art form. Because the longer you do it, the more experience you have, the more you're able to, you know what I mean? That's why somebody 18, their favorite comic can be Bernie Mac or Dave Chappelle, or, you know what I mean? Or older comics, you know what I mean? And look at Rodney Dangerfield.
Oh,
you
my
know,
God.
when he, you know,
One of my
I was
favorites.
a kid, you know, Rodney was well into his 60s, but was still one of my favorite comics because, you know, that's one thing where age is an advantage in comedy. Yeah, it really is.
It really is. And
you know,
you're right. You're right. And isn't it interesting? Even like with some of the female comics, man, when they get to that point where they've either been married, they're married, or they married and divorced, or they have kids. That's when they start to really their comedy just expands. You know, because you know, when I was in open micer and in my 20s. I had a lot of just poo-poo shit, dude. Like, it was silly. Or a lot of us in their 20s were, you know, dating. Yeah. Like the nightclubs.
The premises are all the same. Yeah. I remember sitting next to Joe Rogan. I won't say the comic who's on stage, but there was a comic on stage, and Joe used to look at me and goes, he does comedy for fucking children. Who's he doing? He does comedy for fucking children.
What did he mean by that? Why? What was the material?
It was really like adolescent material. And, you know, Joe's a little old. I just found it really funny because he just couldn't understand why this guy, you know, he wasn't saying it I don't want to say like he was saying it when he was hating, but it was really insightful. I had never thought about it until he said that. And I go, oh, wow. A child would think this is really funny.
Oh, I see.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, you know, Rogan, even when he hadn't been doing it that long, he came off as a very seasoned comic. Yeah. He would talk about so many social issues going on when he was really young, actually. You know what I mean? Yeah. Well, that's funny. Let me tell you, I was next to him at the Comedy Store one time. We were right in that doorway outside of the main room. In the hallway, you know how the hallway leads into the main room? And there was a comic on stage, no name. And he said, we're sitting there, we're just watching, and he just goes, this is why dumb comics shouldn't do political humor. You can't be dumb and do political humor. And I remember laughing my ass off, right?
I mean, one thing that's great about what we do, the biggest laughs that we have are off stage by far.
You know, I mean, we always love when a fellow comic is on stage and they're making, you know, we make each other laugh. But the offstage, not only offstage, but how about when one of our fellow comrades is
bombing?
He's either bombing. Or they're in an awkward, uncomfortable situation, and we're just back there loving every minute.
My favorite thing is when you get mad on stage. I know you laugh when I get mad on stage, but
which is rare. Very rare.
It's rare. I'll show I'm pissed, but when you get mad, I'll be in the back and go, Johnny's mad. Johnny's mad. Look at Johnny's mad. And that's some Johnny like, come here, Johnny's mad. Then at some point, Johnny goes, all right, okay, really. Okay, why don't you guys just leave if that's all you want to do is talk? You know, I've been putting up with this shit. I've been hearing you guys the whole time. Why don't you just leave? You know what? I'm going to wait. It's like, oh, shit. When you get mad.
It's over. When I get to that point where I'm like, I can't even, there's a point as a comic that you get to the point where there's no way of getting laughs with it anymore or having fun with somebody or people. And
what you're saying when they're disrespectful?
Yeah, I think when it gets to the disrespectful point, or where you realize they're either too drunk or they don't give a shit about you or whatever, and then it's just like everything shuts off, man. Like material, like trying to make it work, just cuts off for me, and I'm out.
Interesting because Friday, I did a spot in Long Beach. And, you know, as comedians, we talked about this before. Like, the audience has no idea what you're going through. Like, because, you know, we live lives before we get on stage.
Before we get on stage,
So whatever
yeah.
you're dealing with in your real life, sometimes
Yeah.
either you share it when you're on stage or you shut it off to do the job you need to do, and that's to make people laugh.
Sometimes you share it.
And
yeah.
I got some horrible news right before I went on stage.
You were telling me about that
on Friday, and but I've been through horrible shit before in my life, so I'm like, all right, I can compartmentalize this and then go on and perform. So I'm performing, and I have a heavy heart, and there was these group of girls that were drunk. So they had been disrupting the show well before I got on. So I kind of made a decision, like, I'm just gonna plow into the material. I'm not even gonna, if they don't say anything to me, I'm just gonna kind of ignore them. And even if they are a little chatty, unless it's disruptive, I'm just gonna keep going. I kind of made my mind up to do that. So those people that kind of have to do commentary after every joke, and that it really annoys me.
Yeah.
Moaning, and that annoys me.
Moaning and the that I'm the same way.
Yeah.
That drives me
So
crazy.
this chick is just fucking and then I just stopped, and I can't remember exactly what I said, but she said something smart. So I just destroyed her. Now, if I would have been in a better mood, I might have not been as mean, because I'm not mean on stage, even though she deserved it. The crowd loved it.
Yeah, right.
But I remember
they were getting tired of her.
Yeah,
too.
the crowd was tired of her.
Yeah.
And I was vicious, and I remember, and they loved it. I get off stage, but I remember driving home going, she deserved every bit of that. She deserved every bit of that. But me, I was like, wow, I wonder if I wouldn't have been like hurting at the time, or would I have finessed it a little bit more?
Yeah, you would have went in a different.
Yeah, but I had
approached it differently.
Yeah, I had no patience, and it's funny. Like, so I can't remember who said it. Like, damn, man, you destroyed her. It was hilarious. Like, man, I ain't never seen you like cuts. The way that I did it.
Yeah.
Like, it was, man, I went hard. I remember the thing that I said that was kind of messed up, but it wasn't messed up. It was fun because she was drunk at the same time.
Okay. Yeah.
Never mind. But it was.
Oh, what? You're gonna leave us hanging on that? Well, you gotta. Now I want to know. It's like people aren't gonna hate you for that.
No, I went pretty.
Oh, you're not gonna tell.
No,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
But
But here's the thing. Your point, I think, being is people have to understand we are coming from somewhere as well.
Mm-hmm.
We're not just walking in, freaking juggling some balls, happy to be up there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, people forget that, dude. And so maybe for people that do go to a show and they're kind of like, whoa, this person.
Yeah.
I mean, we're walking in. We have all of our issues. Sometimes we do address it, though. A lot of times, I mean, something like what you're going through, you can't.
I couldn't address it.
You can't address it because
it would bring the whole room down.
Exactly.
It would brought the whole room
because
down.
let me tell you something. There's people that were probably sitting in that audience that are dealing with family members who aren't doing well, and friends or whoever, and then you bring it up, and then they're just like, I came here
to escape this.
That's
why if I did. If I would have addressed, the only way I can address something like that, and me and you talked about this, is if I've had time to process it and make it funny in that way. Because people could be going through some horrific stuff, like dealing with death and stuff like that, where if I had a way to make that funny, then that could make a person going through that feel better about the situation that they're in. Like, oh, wow, this guy's gone through what I'm going through. And I remember doing a show at the Ha years ago, and there was this family there who had just buried their mother. You know what I mean? Cool. And I didn't do any jokes about that. I just, performed and did my set. But after the show, when they came up to me and they're like, oh my God, thank you. This, we just came from a funeral, whatever. When they found out I had been through the same thing, it just gave them like, wow, you're up there performing. Like, it shows you that, you're going to be hurt, but you'll be okay.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think it gives people hope to go, wow, this person has dealt with this person dealt with this,
Yeah.
and they still have a smile on their face. They're still, happy or whatever. It doesn't mean that you don't miss whoever you lose, but it just shows that you can overcome it. And I think that's what's dope about comedy. We can talk about things people are going through and show them, that there is something on the other side of it.
Of course, yeah.
But
I remember you telling me about that. Oh, by the way, man, whisper out to Esau McGraw.
Esau,
watching.
That's the homie, man.
Anyway.
Oh, is that another
I
phrase?
think I know him a little better than you.
Are you kidding me? You know how long I've known Esau? Just because you guys, carpool a lot together. Some motherfucker carpools with Esau, think he knows Esau better than me. I've known Esau for years.
Boy, right, yeah.
Really? What do you think of black culture, man? Like that's even last night with the pop locking and all that stuff. I'm like,
oh man, I was throwing it down last night.
oh,
wait,
jeez.
why don't you go back? Oh, well, come back.
Oh,
anyway,
you
know what? I thought about this last night. You make fun of my dancing. I have never seen Ruben dance, not once. I'm starting to think you might not know how to dance.
I don't dance on stage. What am I supposed to do?
I don't think you know how to.
Where have we?
I think you only know how to do something like a slow thing. Like you'd be like, yeah, right, yeah, right.
Let's
have a dance off then, Rube. Let's set it up and we'll have a dance off. We'll play all different styles of music.
Because
you don't know my skills, man.
There's a song by the poet Fat Joe.
Oh.
And he
Mike
said,
V, whisper out Mike V, man, from Tulare, California. Tulare representing.
I'm going to tell you, brothers don't dance. We just pull up our pants and do the rock away. So lean back. Lean back.
Oh.
Of course you don't know that song because you're only 0.5% Congo.
0.5%? Hey, wait a minute. First of all, that's not true because, you see black dudes, man, on all these dance competitions tearing it up.
Oh, of course. Because it's in our DNA, man.
Yeah. It is in our DNA. That's why you see the kid.
No.
What?
No.
Remember this was.
I know they used to grab the head.
Remember, and then you'd eat it
and then throw it back up.
No, you know what we used to do? We used to take the head and you have to show everybody the head. Like you'd go like that.
My.
Right? Then you'd eat it and then we'd go like that and shit it out. We do the vibrate. You go like that. Like that. Remember that? Woo!
No, I don't.
Man, Sanchez was tearing it up, man. I used to carry my own cardboard
Sanchez
around.
is tearing it up with a Led Zeppelin and Black Sabbath shirt on.
Multifaceted, man. I could rock out 1 minute and then they put on some hip hop music and somebody would be like, man, Sanchez ain't gonna got nothing. And the next thing I know, man, I'm spinning on my back and my head.
Hey, Esau goes, you both know how big a sucker for love I am. I got 99 problems and they all bitches.
First of all, nobody can outdance a Filipino.
Yo, oh, you didn't grow up around Filipinos, huh?
Yeah, they are good. They are good.
The Jabberwockies, aren't they Filipinos?
Yeah.
But no matter, but Esau, I'm going to
are.
disagree. He said Asians dance the best. Black people and Asians, man, they're,
I mean, he obviously hasn't seen me and a lot of Latinos, man.
You're not Latino, though. You're Portuguese.
Man.
I mean, we talking facts here, man. Facts.
Okay. Here's the deal. You know I got moves though. I mean, if Esau wants to try to go against me.
By the way, last night I'm glad you kind of addressed it, man. I was proud of you.
I've been addressing it on stage.
Yeah, ever since I called you out, I'm glad that you said, most of your life you thought you were Mexican, and then you found out you wasn't, man.
Yeah,
proud of you, man.
But isn't it interesting that I have all these Portuguese friends, which means there was something going on.
You're gravitating
toward, and isn't it weird that they allowed me in, even though it always seemed like I was the odd guy out.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So Portuguese people don't let everybody in, by the way.
So kind of doubling back to what we were talking about,
Asians dance the best.
What do you like? If you could start a union, a comedy union, what what would be some of the basic things that you would you'd fight for? Other like pay, insurance,
right? Pays yeah.
What-
I almost think insurance should be first over the pay,
know,
dude.
dude.
Like the pay it's still going to be scaled, it's still going to be like your average of what it is.
Yeah.
But to me, the benefits, the insurance would be a big deal. One of the other things, man, would be just like when you're in the acting union, man, when you're on set and everything has to be done properly.
Yeah.
Part of that, like we were just, and I'll go ahead and take what we were just talking about. Then hecklers and people that are disruptive, they're like, it's a zero tolerance.
Really?
In other words, they're out, man, as soon as they, a lot of times when we're on the road, I'm saying this because, well, wait a minute, dude.
Okay.
You of all people,
Well,
I've gotten so many phone calls from you. Dude, John, I got to tell you what happened tonight, man. These motherfuckers were drunk. These people are talking shit. This person called me this, and nowhere is security at the comedy club. They just let you fucking write it out because they don't want to. They don't want to.
But
Some clubs are like that.
You'd go zero tolerance.
Well,
Or how about one warning?
no, like a warning. But in other words,
I'll tell you
words, some clubs don't say shit.
That's true.
They don't even go and go, excuse me.
That drives me crazy.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about, man.
I will say this. So even that night last Friday, he goes, black people
make their dance moves up, and then Asians kill it.
But that same night with the birthday girls that were disruptive that had to destroy that one chick, there was a lady who yelled out, but she wasn't yelling out to heckle. She just yelled out something funny, and then security came and was talking to her, and I was like, no, she's good, man. She's good. So I just think clubs just need to use common sense, and like we were taught a lot of times when security was prevalent in clubs to have, code words for the security to know.
One of them was water.
Yeah.
Hey,
yeah.
man, can you either bring me water or can you bring this table some water?
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, we got it.
We got to get them out. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, they're always.
Or tell them something.
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly. Give them their warning. I'm not having fun with them. They need to go. I just think, going to a live show, you don't ever want to get quote unquote heckled, but if you're engaging with them, and they're not.
That's tricky for. By the way, my boy Mike V back in Tulare, Whisper Out, Tulare, California. This is interesting. I'm glad he brought this up. Union clubs, the warning is at the door. You get out of line. You get your ass is out, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you remember this, man. Do you remember when they used to have that disclaimer in the lobbies of comedy clubs? You are entering. It wasn't so much about heckling, but it was. This is what I feel like they need this still.
Uh-huh.
They need to bring it back with the sensitive society we have. But remember, they would have that disclaimer, and as the people were in line walking in, it said, "You're entering a comedy club. If you're sensitive to politics, religion, language, and." It was always there, and then they started disappearing. And I remember asking club owners, "Hey, what happened to and they'd go, how club owners were, a lot of them.
Yeah.
Well, I'd have 4 or 6 people leave. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's $200.
Yeah.
In cover charge and drinks and food. And we're like, yeah, but those are the people that end up, disrupting, or they want their money back anyway.
Yeah.
So I miss that they don't have those anymore, man.
Well, I think one of the biggest shifts that
would be great. A sign, it's somewhere where people go,
I agree with that.
They make the announcement at the beginning sometimes,
but
not all of them.
But the announcement is basically turn your phone off, no heckling.
Keep your conversations to a minimum. A lot of times, the people who are disruptive come in after that.
Yeah. But here's the thing, Johnny. I think the bottom line, what we're noticing, or what has happened, is a lot of these clubs care more about the money than they do the comedians.
Of course.
And that's really the bottom line.
If there was a union, that's a great point. In other words, if
there
it's
was
a union, dude, the signs would say you're not going to be, you're going to get one warning,
mm-hmm.
And then, it's one strike you're out, or second strike instead of 3. Or
one thing that bothers me a lot of times is, comedy is subjective. We all know that.
Of course. No way we're going to make everybody happy.
But people come into a comedy club like it's a la carte. Like they can order what they want. It's like, that was funny. I don't think that's funny. So you have a choice. It's like, laugh or don't laugh. But the person to the right of you or to the left of you or behind you or in front of you might think the thing you didn't think was funny was very funny.
Right.
So why are you that selfish to ruin other people's experience because you didn't like a particular joke?
Correct.
And times when I do snap on stage, it's like, dude, laugh, don't laugh. I don't need to hear all these fucking moans. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the moaning it's gotten, we've talked about this.
Man.
It's gotten really
And I'm
bad.
not a moan comic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You and I,
like,
there's a few things we dabble into. Yeah, Esau's right, man. Clubs sold us out after the comedy boom in the 90s, man. It's true.
Yeah.
Because we started noticing this once after 2000 things started to change. But it's
about the money, man.
it is.
But here's the thing.
More so now than ever
It's about
before.
the money. How crazy is it now when I talk to features and stuff and they're getting paid less in 2019 than what we used to get paid? Dude, I remember this. I remember featuring, and it was 6 or 7 shows.
Yeah, this is back when it used to be Wednesday through Sunday.
Yeah, it was Wednesday.
This is why the road was rough.
Wednesday through Sunday.
Sunday.
So it was a show Wednesday, Thursday.
One show each.
One show each, Wednesday and Thursday. 2 shows Friday. 2 shows Saturday.
Sometimes 3 on certain clubs.
On certain clubs, but most of them,
yeah.
2 on Friday, 2 on Saturday, 1 on Sunday, and for a feature, I get $1,000, a hotel room, and travel.
And this is when you were just coming up.
Yeah,
This is like in
in the late 90s as a feature.
Yeah,
and now some of these clubs will pay you $500 flat and won't give you a room and won't give you travel. But the ticket prices have gone up and all that. Now I understand, like, hey, business isn't what it used to be or whatever excuses that they make. But again, if we set some type of criteria, if somebody can come up with a plan and take it to, like, let's say, a Chris Rock, a Dave Chappelle, a Jerry Seinfeld, whoever's powerful enough. Yeah. And what they could do to the clubs is like, hey, as these mega stars in comedy, we'll do so many weeks a room at your club.
Oh, I see.
To give them leverage, because any club would want any of these stars to play their club at any time. But these are the certain things that you'd have to do, to really support the comics and really set a work environment where the people can actually make a living. Like, we know guys that have made a living. They used to make a living out of the feature spot.
Yeah, because they would also sell merchandise.
Exactly.
They'd have a great shirt or a great.
That's if the headliner allowed them to sell merchandise, which is a whole nother.
Yeah, but here's what happened in the 2000s.
Yeah.
Back before, headliners would be like, and remember they come into the green room?
Yeah.
Guys, I'm the only one selling this week.
Yeah, I never cared about that. I would let my features sell.
As a matter of fact, I was never really much of a merch guy.
Yeah.
But it got to the point though where guys that are hosting who've only been doing stand up for 2 years had a shirt already.
I know, it's like enough.
And you're like, and they don't even ask.
Yeah.
They just, hey guys, I'll be before, man, headliners would be like, nobody's selling. But I was never like that. But
I remember I worked a club who took the responsibility away from the headliner. They were like,
"Oh man, Blas Ayala's whisper out to Blas.
Hey, what's up, Blas?" It was the club. The club goes. They took it out of the headliner's responsibility. They would tell the features and the openers no one is allowed to sell. And I remember the feature was pissed. I was like, dude, I have nothing to do with it. That's their rules. And the guy goes, I don't want a flea market in the lobby when people are coming out. Yeah. Like if the headliner wants to sell, that's fine, but I don't want like 3 tables, people selling different stuff. It's like they've already spent money buying, food and drinks, and then they come out to, 3 tables of merch from 3 different comics, and then you're forcing people to choose. So I did see the logic, but from a comics perspective, especially with the money going down and everything that it is, it's just hard for me to tell somebody they can't sell when I know they're not making any money. Like, I know they're not making any money.
Yeah.
You know, they're
literally breaking even.
Or sometimes losing money.
Yeah.
You know, depending on where they're coming from.
You know, some clubs would remember some clubs would do that thing where they'd be like, all right, look, the headliner gets to sell in the lobby. If you guys want to sell
in the parking lot,
it's outside.
Yeah.
It's right as people are out the door.
Yeah.
Which was, I remember, I was like, oh, that's tough, man. You know what I mean? But then there's those other clubs who were like, yeah, we don't, you guys do whatever. It's between you. Mm-hmm. And then some of these openers and features would get the table right as the people are walking out. In other words, they got the prime table. They would set up there, and you'd be like, whoa, wait a minute.
And just to kind of backtrack on why we started talking about, comedy and unions and comedians not having proper benefits, healthcare, dental, life insurances. I remember having a conversation with Buddy Lewis, and me and you have been through this in the years where a comedian dies and
they got to raise.
They have nothing.
Yeah.
And they're left with nothing. And their families are left to fit this bill. I went through that, with my parents. When they passed, they didn't leave anything.
Yeah.
But how many fundraisers have we seen or done for comics who have passed? And I remember Buddy Lewis calling me. I can't remember who the fundraiser's for, and he's like, "Man, do you have motherfucking life insurance?"
Yeah.
And he was like, "Man, I'm telling you, Ruben, like, we got to do better. We have to do better." And I go, "Well, buddy, some people aren't in the financial position to do it." And his whole thing is, you got to make certain things a priority. And he goes, you're dying and you're leaving your family, and then now everybody got to raise money and write checks. And I've donated money to to people in those situations because I have compassion for it. But sometimes, like, I get it. Thank God I'm in a better place in my life now where I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
But dude, I remember I used to have that joke. It's messed up when you too broke to go to the doctors.
Yeah.
You should be at the doctors, but instead you at Rite Aid until 2 o'clock in the morning trying to diagnose yourself.
Self-diagnose.
And that came from you having to do that, dude.
Yeah.
Like literally, you should be at the doctors, but you don't have the fucking money to go.
Yeah. And
then the type of bills, like, our whole healthcare system needs to be revamped. I mean, we can go on and on about that, but I just think in the meantime, at some point, maybe when I get to a point in my career, I would love to figure out something that could benefit comics. I know the Comedy Store is doing stuff for comics now, like for their paid regulars, if they have some type of
emergencies,
can't pay
financial
their rent
issues.
Yeah,
right.
And me and Jamie Masada has paid rent, loan money, for all but.
He's been great, man.
He's been great to a lot of comics. Like, just, paying their rent, letting them, live rent free and some, like, that's great that they're doing that. But I think there needs to be something unilaterally done for professional working comics where we're able to do our jobs, because comedy is needed, I believe, in the world. And people need to laugh. People need that escape. So we need to take care of the people who are providing this service.
Right.
But look at America. We have people who fight for this country and then they come back and
they don't have,
everybody wants to stand and salute the flag when these veterans are homeless on the streets who have served the company, who have served their country, not company.
Yeah.
And they have nothing.
Right.
But they want to be patriotic. But this, ex, Marine can't pay his rent or has no real health care. But that's all about.
You just reminded me. I gotta re-up my life insurance. I had a great policy for a long time, dude.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, this payment. I mean, it wasn't a low payment either. It was a high payment. And I was like, well, because
things happen.
I mean, it was a high. You know what I mean? It was a lot of money.
Okay.
So my family members and B and all, they would have all been taken care of and no problem. But it is important, man, because we hear about, all of a sudden we're like, yo, what happened to so-and-so? He's gone, dude. He had a heart attack, he had a stroke, he had you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hold on real quick though. This is what you used to do. My boy Mike V is like, There's nothing that can't be fixed with whiskey and putting Vicks Formula 44 on the bottom of your feet and sleeping with your socks on.
That was one. That was one. Yeah.
The freaking vape. Shit, we were the first vapors. We were vaping with Vicks Formula 44 back in the day. Remember the you'd put it in the in a boiling pot of water, and then you put the towel over your head.
Oh my god!
And you inhale the vapes.
Yeah. Or you just get a vaporizer.
When then?
They've been making vaporizers for a long time.
Well, that's the point. They cost money. What you just go down to? Well, it was Thrifty
like,
at the time. Not Rite Aid, it was Thrifty.
Yeah.
And you'd go down to Thrifty and you'd get the thing for $3 and then you put it in a boiling thing of water. Anyway.
So here's something funny. And I know it's a morbid subject, but I remember like when you're going through tragedy, anybody who's watching, there's always things that are funny that you can't laugh at the time, but you go later in time, you laugh. Like we talk, like I can't wait to talk about like my father's funeral specifically was absolutely outrageous in a lot of ways. It was a Haitian funeral, which is a whole another level that I had never experienced before. But I remember when my parents passed, like you're going through all this grief and everything. You're just like, okay, I got to get the paperwork together. I got to do all these things. And my dad cashed in his insurance policy like a month before he passed.
No.
Yeah. And I just knowing my dad, I know my mom was like, no, we cannot do that. They don't need no money. This is my money. I'm sure my father was like, man, we're grown now. We're, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're in our, we're in our
20s,
20s, you know what I mean? Like out of the house. My father's like, fuck that. Let me cash this in. And he cashed it in. And we're sitting at the funeral going, we're sitting, trying to put this together like, yo, we have no money to.
Was it really that close?
Oh yeah,
he passed?
It was like he cashed it in like a month or two before he passed. My dad cashed out, man. I wonder what he did with that money.
Oh, so there was nothing left.
There was nothing. That's what I'm telling you. My dad spent it. He cashed out. I don't know. I don't know if he bought cars or what, because he was a used car salesman also.
Oh.
I didn't tell you?
Oh, I think you did, man.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
why
why
I can't picture your dad.
A Haitian used car salesman and minister. What a combination, man.
That's fantastic.
You want to buy a car?
Yeah.
Jesus love you.
Dang, that's a sitcom.
You want to buy a car?
Dude.
Jesus love you, okay?
Oh, dude.
Dude, he cashed in the policy, man. And all me and my sister could do was laugh, man, because we thought, that's dad.
Well,
that is dad.
Let me
to make that decision against my mother's will. I know my mother was like, no way.
So I'm just curious. The car lot he worked at, was everybody else as well? Is it a Haitian community or was it white dudes?
Here's the thing. So I don't even know how my dad guess he got his they used to go to my dad used to go to the auction, buy cars, fix them up, and then sell them. But one of his garages lots, he had like mechanics. They fix cars and but it was in Wilmington.
Oh, this was in L.A.
Oh yeah,
I was picturing him doing this in Miami.
I'm sure because that's all he really knew. Yeah, you know what I mean. So I'm
he
sure
might have done it over there.
But I told you the story when again my dad had, I think he had he was doing it in Miami. He was doing it in Miami because my dad. Oh my God, my dad had like I think $25,000 cash.
Right.
And then he got out the car to use the phone and somebody hopped into the car.
What are the chances?
It's heartbreaking, man. Oh. But I just remember my mom calling and I go like, hey, Mom.
Wait, that wasn't the money, was it?
Yeah, they took. Oh, no.
That wasn't his life insurance.
I don't know.
No, that
was too early. That was too early.
Okay.
I think my father had sold it. He had sold a car and did something. But I just
you just found out where the money went.
You know somebody's voice over the phone.
Yeah.
And then I remember going, hello? And then, my mom was doing small talk. I go, are you okay? What's wrong? She goes, your father. I go, what happened? He goes, I tell him not to drive around with so much money. He has money in his car. Someone jump in the car and take the car. with the money in it. I just imagine my father like chasing after the car.
Come back. I'll let you have the car. And could you imagine him
dude.
having to tell your mom?
Oh my God!
Because didn't I think I asked you, like, didn't he call I'm sure he called the cops and everything, right? The police and
I'm
they went looking for it.
I'm sure, but I think when they got the car back, that money was gone.
Yeah, I wonder.
But here's the thing:
can you imagine that?
What
dude?
a bonus! That person probably just wanted to steal the car,
Yep.
and then they got a car and cash. Cash probably was worth more than the car.
Yeah, so they were like, "I'm just gonna ditch the car."
Or what if it was somebody that followed them? You know what I mean? Maybe what if it was somebody that followed him, and then when he pulled over, you know, they were like, "This is my chance," and you know, maybe they had planned on robbing him or something. Who knows? Just thank God that that he was okay. But I mean, if you knew my friends who I grew up with, they'd be in tears laughing at because they know, you know, my father with his accent, his personality. For something like that to happen is. That's a great character. I mean, you know, we always talk about gotta write what you know, man, and put something out. Dude, that whole your upbringing, and then you know, especially in the LA, because there was no. In Miami is different because there's a ton of Haitians. But in LA, man,
out here to have a dad who's a minister and he's a used car dealer. And he's Haitian,
and he's a missionary. You know, traveling.
Right.
You know, every dime. Not every dime, obviously, because they had to raise us, but you know, the majority of the money that my parents, you know, earned went right back to Haiti.
Right.
You know, that was their like we lived on the bare minimum, you know, because that was super important to them. And then as you get older and you understand the conditions, and especially like obviously everybody in Haiti isn't poor. People assume that there's a lot of poverty there, but everybody's not poor. But my parents grew up in poverty. Yeah. So when they came to America, they felt like they already won. So their goals weren't to, you know, have the big house and the fancy car or anything like that. They wanted to, you know, raise their family in a safe environment and take care of the people of Haiti. My father built an orphanage and all kind of things. So they supported the orphanage. Like I told you, the night before my parents passed, they had gotten a church in North Carolina to take the financial burden off of my parents and help fund, you know, the mission, like to send money. Because my parents are doing it out of their own salaries. My mom worked at Long Beach Memorial. She was the head baker there. And, you know, my dad hustled. You know, literally, you know, sold cars and went and preached at churches and raised money and sent it back to Haiti. So
don't you feel like, I feel like my dad, it's a generational thing too, man. Like they just looked constantly for work and for things to do. Yeah. And sometimes I'm like, how come I don't, you know what I mean? Like I could be doing other stuff besides stand up and act, you know what I mean? I wonder what that is. Like, is it because we're entertained? Is it a different mindset as people who are entertainers? Do we have this thing of like, well, I don't want to have a regular job because I do this all the time.
Yeah,
or extra. You know, I don't know.
I think for what we do, we're born to do this.
Yeah,
that's why we do it.
Yeah.
So it's different. That's why I never take it for granted. I know a lot of people go, man, you lucky you know what you want to do. You've always known what you wanted to do.
That's true.
And I think for most people, not everybody is that fortunate. That's why people go to college and try to figure out what it is that they want to do.
Sometimes they don't even end up in that.
And I think the big thing in especially our culture, and maybe it's the same in other cultures around the world, is a lot of times people don't think that you can monetize what you love.
Right.
You know what I mean? So people don't go for it. It's like, hey, I love to do this, but you can't make a living doing that.
Artwork and things like that, and they don't.
But you can.
Yeah.
You know, you really can, but we're kind of taught to do something practical. You know, for us, I remember telling somebody a long time ago is, you know, when you choose, especially from my family, I'm sure the same with you, is when I decided to do stand-up comedy, and I think most parents like that, especially for our generation, it's like you decided to join the circus. Like, you're doing to do what?
That's true.
You're going to make
Yeah. And
how are you going to take care of yourself?
yeah.
You know?
And you know what's interesting about that? You listen to a lot of the big ones, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the ones that that made it.
Yeah.
Like big. They'll always go, man, when I told my parents I was getting into especially the cultures like Asian and even I just saw the girl who has a new talk show, Lily Singh, right?
Okay.
Lily Singh, she's Indian. Of course, her telling her parents, the Indians, man, they want them getting into, to be doctors. And, I know Ken Jeong, of course, went through that. He was a doctor, and then decides he's going to get into this. But it's I couldn't imagine if what it's like for the, like if B said it to me, like, I want to be in the arts.
Yeah.
All right. That's not going to be a big deal. But, remember I told you, my dad laughed when I said,
my parents didn't.
It's hard for parents.
I don't even know.
Imagine.
I never had the conversation with my parents. I just did it. It wasn't a conversation.
Were they still living out here when you started? Yeah.
No.
Oh, so they were already. So it was a little easier for you to.
It was a little easier for me, and I think, I kind of made my own decision because my parents didn't pay for my education. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
you had scholarships.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they didn't really. There was no financial burden. I'm sure if they were paying out of their own pocket, they'd have been like, you're doing this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was a little different for me. But my parents they didn't understand. I know I might sound crazy to you guys, but my parents didn't understand the entertainment industry. They just watched the news and Christian television. That's all they watched. So they never, my parents never watched movies.
Right.
They didn't have a favorite TV show, like a sitcom. They didn't have a favorite sitcom. Mm-hmm. So the fact that I'm even doing this is crazy. But growing up Haitian in America, I desired American culture and black culture, and I grew up in that environment around all black people. So it was just, I just tried to consume as much of American culture as I could so I could fit in with the rest of the kids. And to do stand-up is crazy because I always kind of envy acting families or entertainment family, like the Wayans brothers, or even Tony we talked about, is to be able to look, the guy in the bed next to you or in the bunk bed on top of you, that guy is acting and doing it on a high level, and it kind of shows you, it can be done. Like, I didn't have any examples of anybody being successful.
We started,
with the ridiculous.
At least you were living in LA.
Yeah.
So you were around. For me to pack up and leave Little Tulare, California.
Yeah.
And I think my parents were I think at that time my parents didn't understand that, if you moved to LA, you could end up on television telling jokes.
Yeah.
I don't think they, until I ended up on television.
Yeah.
And then I think that's when they were like, oh wow.
Yeah,
this is doable. This is what you do. You can just end up on TV by,
The first time I was on TV, I don't think I even really understood the magnitude of it.
Yeah.
It was just, hey, I was doing comedy. Here's an opportunity to do comedy on TV, and it's great. But how it affected the people around me was like, you don't realize everybody doesn't get to be on TV. Yeah. So that's why I really love to see my friends work. Like, I'm not a hater. Like when my friends are working, because I know how hard it is to work, especially consistently, to have longevity, because we all go through periods, of when you're working, when you're not working. So to be able to work consistently is it's crazy.
Mike V.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you're going to be a comedian? And then my dad laughed, and he said, my dad was, yeah, you really are a comedian. Dude, it's, what he said. Remember, I always love the fact that he feels bad now, but the fact that he said he laughed, and then Mike, what he said was he laughed and then said, "You'll be back in 3 months."
Damn.
And that was so defining. Remember, that was a defining moment
for you,
because anytime I wanted to pack up and go back home, I would hear my dad saying, even after the 3 months, this was 5 years later, 7 years later, and there was
Candy, my fourth daughter will be back. Candy.
Really? You know he does. You just
I'm
do
glad
it.
I have something that really annoys you, because you can do anything to annoy me, but I'm glad I have that one.
Oh, like my whisper out to my look. I love it. I told you we got to make a dude. That moment when you laughed, and then I said, "Yeah." So I gave him a whisper out, and then your face just collapsed. It irritates you so much.
Yeah, because
and it's really gonna bother you when whisper out takes off.
Whisper
When
out is not
hashtag
gonna
whisper
take
out
off.
takes, it's gonna take off, Ruben.
It's not gonna take off.
That's my one thing that's gonna take off. Everybody's starting to say it.
Who's starting to say it?
People back home. It's hilarious.
You can always tell when Johnny's lying. People back home. But
anyway, I wanted to do throwback music.
we'll do that the next
We'll
episode.
do the next one because
Yeah.
I was listening to some rock ballads from the 80s, and I realized that the majority of the songs, I literally was thinking of just one girl back home.
Well,
Because all that, when her and I were dating for quite a while, and it was all these bands, all these rock bands were doing ballads, man, from Motley Crue to Cinderella, and we'll talk about it next one. I want to talk. I want to get people. Listen, we'll leave the teaser so people are tuning in for the next one.
yeah, I just
Songs that take you back, but romantic songs, like love songs and stuff like that. Doesn't have to just be-
I can. That's one thing that I love about music in general, whether it's ballads or like. There's certain songs that take you back to a certain time, like immediately, like as soon as you hear it, all these memories flood back in. When you hear certain songs, it's like it transports you back instantly. That's one thing that's dope about good music.
Yeah.
And shitty music is not memorable. But anyway.
So we should do some of that on the next one.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
And then this way people can kind of go, hey, this is a song. When I hear this song, just like, with Rick Ocasek, from the lead singer who just passed, from the Cars. Dude, the Cars were literally a soundtrack for me from junior high through high school.
Really?
The Cars, man. Like that's all we were listening to, and that's their music at the dance.
We grew up so differently.
I know,
man.
dude. I know.
That's before you knew you had 0.5% Congo in you.
I was popping and breaking though.
Oh,
so I kind of
to
knew
the Cars.
No, man, to the Sugar Hill Gang.
What are you doing? Anyway, we got to get out of here. This is the best of everything. I'm Ruben Paul. Oh, jeez, man. You see what I got to put up with? Really?
Johnny Sanchez. Johnny Dirty Sanchez.
Anyway, Rubee Tuesdays, every Tuesday
Thanks,
night.
Mike, for sticking with us the whole time, by the way. And Blas, man, good to see Blas.
Chimed in.
Well, he didn't chime in, but he was watching.
Yeah.
And we love that.
But anyway, Rubee Tuesday, every Tuesday night, Hollywood Laugh Factory.
You never know what the order's going to be. You just know there's going to be great comics, but you'll be like, hey, when you going up, bro? I'm not next? Oh, okay. Am I after that guy? Oh.
Anyway.
I guess I'll be up later at the end of the night.
Yeah, we got to make sure to get you on early because we had people who could really close the show. But anyway, thank you guys for listening to the best of everything. You can find us on iTunes, Google Play,
Full Circle,
Spotify,
YouTube, Swap Meets,
anywhere you can find
the Ag Expo in Tulare, California.
Anyway, thank you guys for listening, and we out.
We out. Epa!
Rubee motherfucking Tuesdays.
This show is all about diversity and bringing everyone together. You never know who you're going to see at Rubee Tuesdays.